Move out, Amber snapped, standing in my kitchen like a landlord. She didn't know I'd sold the property last week, deed recorded, while keeping a lifetime right to live here. Call to action: if you know elders plan quietly, stay with me, and say where you're watching from. I'm Helen Porter, 79. My son Luke stood behind his wife, eyes on the floor. Amber had listed my home on a coming soon site without my signature, bragging about quartz counters I never asked for. She'd already scheduled an open house. I poured coffee and let my hands shake just enough to play her script. She waved a printed notice she found on the internet. 30 days, she said, smirking. The porch camera blinked red. So did the tiny recorder in the flower pot. Last month, I met with Mr. Patel at the credit union and Ms. Lawson, a closing attorney who still believes in paper. I sold my house to the Willow Street Community Trust, reserved a life estate, and set the sale money into an annuity I control. Amber can't flip what I don't own. Pack, she said. I smiled. I already did, at the courthouse. Tomorrow, the sign changes. Amber staged her open house with balloons and a sign reading "Coming soon." I sat on the porch with lemonade. Ms. Lawson arrived with a briefcase. Mr. Patel leaned on the railing. Officer Rivera, off duty, chatted with neighbors. The Willow Street Community Trust Director, June, set a manila folder on my table like a chess piece. Welcome. Amber sang, ushering a young couple inside. She pointed at my photos. All this will be updated. I touched my scarf. Evan next door swapped the yard sign cover. The words "Sold to Willow Street Trust" snapped into view. Ms. Lawson cleared her throat. Attention. This property transferred last week. Ms. Porter holds a recorded life estate. Any listing is void. She raised stamped copies. The buyers backed toward daylight. Amber blanched. You can't. I already did, I said. June slid a letter across. Notice: cease marketing and return deposits. Officer Rivera nodded. If anyone took fees under false pretenses, call me. Luke stepped onto the porch, shame heavy. Mom, I didn't know. I believe you, I said. Repair takes action. The process server appeared with 2 envelopes. For Amber and Luke. I watched her read. 30 days to vacate the basement unit. Amber tried bluster, then bargains. Ms. Lawson answered with paper and dates. The trust filed a takedown. The listing vanished by morning. Buyers sent messages, "We'll look elsewhere." Staging charges Amber put on my card were reversed by the credit union. On day 10, she packed boxes, muttering about betrayal. On day 29, the basement key hit my palm with a clink that sounded like freedom. I wasn't done. At the community center, June read my amendment. Any heir who threatens eviction forfeits inheritance for 5 years. Those funds support housing repairs for seniors. Luke swallowed hard and signed an agreement. Budget class, weekly check-ins, no decisions without counsel. Amber refused and walked out with her ring light. I kept my porch, my garden, my chair by the window. The trust sent a handyman to add a ramp and widen the doorway I'd always squeezed through. I hosted coffee for neighbors who'd watched the show. We laughed, then planted tomatoes. Luke visits on Sundays with pie and fewer excuses. I let him carry mulch and say less. The basement is now a sewing room open on Thursdays. At night, I sleep with the deed framed, my name, my right, my quiet again. Thanks for listening to my story. Have something to say? The comments are open. You're not alone. And if you want more, tap subscribe and stay close.